Good morning. How are you this morning, this Sunday? I am awake. I had a lovely Saturday. Just about got up. How are you doing this morning? Join in the show. I have a lovely show for you this morning. We are going to be talking about how we can manage our anger healthily. Because as you know, anger is actually a healthy emotion. So good morning to you this morning. For those that are awake, join me this morning. We know who we are this morning. We declare that we're walking in favor. Despite the situation, we're walking in favor this morning. Join in the conversations this morning. Send me a message. Hey, Everton, how you doing? How you doing, Everton? Join me this morning. I know who God says I am. What he says I am. So important to know who you are this morning. Walking in power and miracles. I live a life of favor. We're making a declaration this morning. Speaking those things that be not as though they were. I know who I am. Hey, do you know who you are this morning? We're making a declaration this morning. I know who I am this morning. Do you know who you are? I know who I am. Do you know who you are? I know who I am this morning. I know who I am this morning. Do you know who you are? Let's make a declaration this morning. I know who I am. How are you doing this morning? I know who I am. I don't know what's going on. I am who I am. I'm walking in favor. Doesn't matter what you say. I'm just plugging it this morning, as you know I do. Do you know who you are this morning? Do you know who you are? Woo! Caribbean style. Yeah. Do you know who you are this morning? We know who we are this morning. We are walking in favor this morning. In your workplace, we know who we are. Okay, we know who we are this morning. Welcome to the Angela Lee Show. Good morning to you, Everton. Good morning to you. For those that are listening on ellensoulradio.com, good morning to you. Good morning for those that are listening on our YouTube channel, the Angela Lee YouTube channel. Good morning to you. Good morning to you that are listening on Facebook Live. Are you awake this morning? Good morning. We are just making a declaration this morning that we know who we are this morning. We know exactly who we are, and we don't care what anyone else says about us because we know who we are. And it's so important for us to know who we are this morning so that we don't listen to the naysayers. You know, we listen to our inner voice, our intuition. We speak our own truth because we know who we are this morning. You know, we are a chosen generation. We are here to do amazing things, aren't we? We're here to do amazing things. And so it's so important for us to know who we are. So send me a message. I've only got one message from someone that's up. So send me a message. Are you up this morning? Join me on the show. I know it's early, it's Sunday, and you know how we do. We wake up to the sound of beautiful music. And we're going to be doing our positive affirmations in a minute. And so join me this morning. Perhaps you're waking up ready to go to church, or you're waking up ready to go to the synagogue, or you're waking up ready to do whoever you are, whatever you do on a Sunday morning, or perhaps you're actually in bed sleeping. I just about managed to get up this morning. I had a brilliant day yesterday with my beloved. And yeah, I think I overindulged. So let me know how you are doing this morning. I'm just plugging it as I do. It's not looking too good outside. Yesterday was actually lovely because I thought it was actually going to rain yesterday, but the weather held up. So I was quite impressed that the weather held up. As I said, I thought we're gonna have thunderstorms. So let me know how you are doing this morning. We're going to be doing our affirmations in a few seconds. And so join in with me in a few minutes. We're going to be doing our affirmations in a minute. So just let me know how you are doing this morning. I know it's early. Let me know how you are doing this morning. And so let's do our positive affirmations this morning. Before we start the show, and wherever you are, whether you're sleeping, whether you're lying down, whether you are sitting up, let's do our positive affirmations. You're tuning into the Angela Lee Show on ellensoulradio.com. Also, we're streaming live on Facebook Live and on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can catch all of the shows. Okay, and so this morning, wherever you are this morning, let's sit down nice and comfortable. Or if you're lying down, you can hear my voice nice and clear. And so let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And let's do another deep breath in and another deep breath out. Okay, let's do that again. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. Are we doing that? One more time, another deep breath in and out. Great. Okay, and today we're talking about how we can actually express anger healthily, because anger is a an emotion. It's a normal emotion. It's nothing to feel embarrassed about because it's a normal emotion. However, we need to learn how we can actually release or express our anger in a healthy way. And so we're going to do our affirmations this morning. Okay, here we go. I can feel my anger and still stay in control. Let's do our affirmations this morning. Going to repeat that one again. I can feel my anger and still stay in control. I am at peace and harmony with everyone and everything. I can do better next time. I can do better next time. I release all my embodied anger. I release all my embodied anger. I will remember to stop, relax, and think before I act. I like that one, don't you? I will remember to stop, relax, and think before I act. I clear and release all my anger, thoughts, and feelings. Let's repeat that one again. I clear and release all my anger, thoughts, and feelings. And that's our affirmations this morning. And we are talking about how we can express our anger in a healthy way, because as we mentioned, anger is a normal emotion, but we're going to learn some tools and some techniques on how we can actually express our anger in a healthy way. I'm going to be joined later on in the show with the author of Free to Be Me, Dawn Crystal, and she's going to be joining me as we talk about how we can actually express our anger in a healthy way. So thank you for joining me with those lovely affirmations this morning. And let's just have a quick chat. I mean, the long-term physical effects of uncontrolled anger, and it's our spiritual and well-being show this morning. And so it's so important for us to deal with all sorts of mental health and spiritual or well-being issues this morning on the show. And so the long-term effects of uncontrolled anger, it actually increases anxiety, high blood pressure. It contributes to high blood pressure, and also it contributes to headaches, migraines, headaches, uncontrolled anger. And so it's so important that we learn how to express our anger in a positive and a healthy way, because the effects is actually enormous. So if it's expressed appropriately, then it's fine, because anger is a normal emotion. So send me a message this morning. We're going to be chatting again, as I mentioned, with the author of Free to Be Me, Dawn Crystal. She's going to be joining me as we have a conversation this morning and help each other out on how we can actually express our anger in a healthy way. And I know lots of us, we get angry, and it's fine to get angry. It's okay to be angry. However, it's good for us to all learn, because we know we're all on a learning journey, and sometimes we get it wrong and we miss the mark, and it's fine, because we're human and we're on our own individual journeys. We're not perfect. And so we're helping each other out this morning in terms of how we can actually express our anger in a much more positive and healthy way. So let me know how you are doing this morning. And so long-term strategies, we're going to be talking about some long-term strategies about anger management and how we can actually manage that. We're going to have a lovely conversation with Dawn Crystal that's going to be joining me in a few minutes. And so a lot of us, sometimes we need to probably invest in some anger management, perhaps, And I know that exercise really helps, and lots of different sort of relaxation techniques and counseling. And so we're going to be sort of delving and exploring a couple of those techniques along with Dawn Crystal this morning on the show. And so let me know how you are doing this morning. It's Sunday. I can hear the birds tweeting. And it's Angela Lee on the show this morning. And we are talking about how we can actually express anger in a healthy way. So, we can share, a couple of our experiences. I mean, I know that, I've blown my fuse sometimes. And, sometimes when you reflect back, you think, you know what, I could have actually, um, you know, deal with that a bit better. And so, no one's judging each other this morning because, as you know, on the show, we are actually helping each other out on the show. No one's perfect. We're all on our own journey this morning. And so no one's actually judging anyone. No one's judging anyone this morning. So let me know how you are doing this morning. We're talking about how we can actually control our anger or express our anger in a more healthy way. So send me a message this morning. How are you doing? Send me a message. We've just done our positive affirmations this morning. So let me know how you are. Good morning, Jay, Ricky, good morning. Angie Hayes, good morning. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Everton. Thank you for joining me this morning on the thread. How can we express our anger in a healthy way? We've just spoke about the impact of not doing that in a healthy way this morning. And so good morning to you. For those that are just listening, we are streaming live on ellensoulradio.com, and we are also streaming live on Facebook. And also we're streaming live on our YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Angela Lee this morning. And so this is what we're talking about this morning. So let's share our thoughts and our conversations this morning, because it's not, it's not a sin to be angry. It's nothing to be feeling embarrassed or ashamed about, to be angry, because anger is a normal, healthy emotion. And so I don't want any of us to feel guilty, because I know sometimes we say some things and we want to sort of, we hope that we can retract back, what we've said, and it can't, because as you know, what we put out there's already gone out. However, we can learn how we can do things differently. We can learn how we can actually express our emotions in a much more healthy way. That's what we can do. We can learn how to do things differently. And it's so important for us, because we know we're all on our different journeys in terms of how we manage ourselves. And it's fine, as I said, because anger is a normal emotion, and we're all on our individual journeys. So we're not here to judge anyone. We're not here to point the finger. We are here on the show. It's a spiritual and well-being show, and we are here to help each other out. We're here to help each other out this morning. And so, I've got a message from Jay Ricky already. He says, an anger individual is like a broken wall. This has helped me to focus on making sure mentally and physically I make sure my wall or my life is built up properly. Reinforcement of how you build your anger, life force, and the effects it has to your wall, your life is important. Absolutely, Jay. Thank you. However, not to build internal walls is not wise, as you need to make sure that you have a gate built into your life which you filter. Absolutely. And that's like self-reflection, isn't it? And really being observant in terms of your behavior. So thank you for sharing that, Jay, this morning. And so good morning. We are talking about how can we express our anger, which is a normal emotion, in a positive way. That's what we're talking about this morning. And so anger is a healthy emotion. It's a healthy emotion. Nothing for us to feel ashamed about. It's a normal emotion. But we are talking about how we can actually express that. We're helping each other out this morning on our well-being show this morning. And so it's so important for us to learn how to express ourselves effectively, particularly if we're adults, and even young people. I mean, I work in schools and colleges, and sometimes we see young people, they display themselves in so many colorful ways, and it's so important that we even teach our young people how to actually express themselves positively. I mean, I remember teaching, and this young man tried to attack me because I gave him a negative report, which was based on his behavior, and he tried to attack me, and that's just not on, is it? I mean, the behavior that we have within our school system, educational system, is some of it is just so unacceptable. And sometimes, and we also have grown adults that explode erratically, and we need to learn how to do things better. We need to learn how to do things more positively. And we all make those mistakes. Sometimes someone upsets us, or we are triggered, or our schemas are triggered, or we're in a difficult, challenging situation, and we just explode. However, we cannot do that. Just imagine exploding at a place of work. You get the sack, wouldn't you? You can't explode with your boss. You can't explode with your colleagues, and you can't. And I definitely, if you're a teaching practitioner, you can't explode whilst you're actually teaching or training young people or even adults. And so it's so important for us to manage our anger, even in relationships that we have with each other. It's so important that we manage our anger, because we can't explode. Imagine you're doing sort of partnership working with someone, or you're collaborating on a project, and perhaps you've met a challenging aspect of that project. I mean, you can't just explode on people. We've got to learn how to do things better as adults, and also help our young people to express themselves in a more positive light. And so that's what we're talking about this morning. How can we express ourselves in a positive light? And as I mentioned, Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me, is going to be joining me in a few minutes. I can see her there waiting, and she's going to be joining us in a few minutes to join in the conversations. And so Jay has said, try to not knee-jerk react to everything. That takes time. Yeah, that's true, because sometimes we tend to be reactionaries. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Angela. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great.
You're looking good.
Thank you. And it's surprising because you know what? I nearly forgot to wake up.
Me too.
Good God, you know what? It was I got a message from like my morning wake up message, and I thought, oh my God. I had such a great day yesterday. With my other half. We had such a great day yesterday, and I think I overindulged, and I nearly forgot to wake up this morning. So yeah, good morning, Dawn. Nice, thank you for joining me this morning. And on the show this morning, we're talking about how we can express our anger in a positive and a healthy way, and that's so important, isn't it, Dawn? And just to introduce Dawn again to you listeners, Dawn is the author of Free to Be Me, an amazing friend and colleague of mine. And so, yeah, Dawn, how important is it for us to express ourselves in a positive light, and to be mindful and not feel ashamed of being angry, because anger is a positive emotion. It's a normal emotion, isn't it?
It's absolutely normal. And I don't think we realize just how supportive that energy can be, as long as we use it constructively.
Yeah.
Because, for me, I know anger can make me feel really unwell in the tummy, my head aches, and I feel rubbish. So I have to be very aware of how I'm feeling. And if it's something I'm angry with, then I really need to address that really soon.
Absolutely.
It's not something I can let linger, because it just gets deeper and deeper, and I feel more and more unwell.
Yes. And it festers. And we know we're going to talk about later on the impact of anger if it's not dealt with. And as Dawn says so rightly, we need to learn to address it straight away, if possible. Not let things fester, because when things fester, it leads to lots of health issues, and spiritually, it's not really good, because it leads to like resentment and all sorts of bitterness and toxicity. That's actually going to be blocking your chakras, isn't it, Dawn?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we realize the impact of it. And I don't think we actually intentionally set out to be angry. I think a
No.
lot of it is frustration or worry or stress about other things.
Yeah.
And that anger just kind of really accumulates. And I think
Yeah.
it's not until we kind of explode outwardly
Yeah.
that we go, oh, where did that come from? So it's not just a
Yeah.
one-off.
No.
You know, it's not something you can even go, oh, suddenly I've got to be angry. It just comes as a feeling. I think
Yes,
it's
because it is a
accumulation of stuff
feeling,
which
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it is a feeling. So, you know, it's a normal feeling. And so, as you said, as Dawn mentioned, that sometimes it's, you know, we're so frustrated and we're so stressed, that particularly with the changing world that we have at hand. We, you know, we feel, you know, we're surrounded by uncertainty, and so that can make us angry. Our life plan has changed drastically in terms of, you know, the impacts of COVID, and the dynamics of our lives have changed. Perhaps the dynamics of our relationship that we have with each other has changed, and we know that in terms of the pandemic, it's actually brought so much stress, particularly in terms of relationships in the home, and some of us can be angry, we explode, and we are erratic in terms of our behavior. And as Ricky said, it's so important for us not to jerk that reaction. And so, Dawn, let's share some thoughts on how we can actually express our anger positively.
I think the most important thing is to acknowledge that you feel it. Yeah. And not to say to someone, you've made me angry, but that's making me feel angry.
That's making me feel angry.
Yeah. So you're bringing back the responsibility to yourself. Because if you say, you made me feel angry, that person's going to want to react with the same energy that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
And if we take responsibility and go, oh, that's making me feel really angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know it's not always instant, you know, you can't always do that. It doesn't always work that way. But it's just trying to be aware of when you get that feeling bubbling up inside you, which you feel like you're going to explode on somebody.
Because just we are in control of our angry, we're in control of our emotions. And as you said, and when you can feel that boiling up, then you need to do something about it, don't you?
Yeah.
So first of all, we're going to acknowledge.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So first of all, as Dawn says, we're going to acknowledge that we can actually, you know, we're feeling angry, and sometimes we can actually feel that when something's boiling. You know, it's, you know, we've got so much aggression within.
Yeah. And for me, you know, it's like listening to telltale signs. For me, I feel like hot and flushed when I'm angry, and I don't know about other people. You know, we're all slightly different, but I tend to get that kind of feeling bubbling up inside. And normally with me, it starts in the tummy, and it's a gut reaction to something that's happening around you. So often those feelings go that's almost like an instant reaction. So for me, if I feel that feeling come up, I'll take a deep breath and go, come on, Dawn. And it's almost like reassuring myself and saying, I don't need to react to that.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, it doesn't always happen. You know, sometimes I do it wrong. Make mistakes. And
we all do it wrong, you know, because we're human. We're actually human. And it's so important for us to be aware of when we're going to feel angry and sort of try and stop ourselves. And I actually use that technique as well, Dawn. The breathing is really good because it just controls, especially that heart palpitation, that rage within you, calms you right down.
Yeah, absolutely. If you stop and breathe for a moment, you're giving your brain a chance to reset itself to a kind of calmer thought. You know, it's not always instant. You sometimes need 2 or 3 breaths, or for me, I used to take half a dozen or maybe half a day. Okay. So if, you know, I've got this anger coming up, instead of reacting, often I would just literally shut up and walk away. And sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But sometimes I would find myself in the midst of this anger, but I would then stop and go, this isn't helping. And just stop.
Yeah. And some of the root causes of anger, before we sort of explore some of the techniques, and we talked about breathing just briefly, and some of the root causes of anger, we need to explore that because some people are probably not perhaps aware. And so fear, you know, fear, false evidence appearing real, That is one of a one root cause of anger, and fear of, as we talked about, what's going to happen next in terms of society, in terms of the impact of the pandemic, perhaps fear. Let's explore fear. What are people fearing about, Dawn?
Well, they could fear anything, couldn't they? They could fear that they've let people down. They could fear that things aren't going as they want to. They fear they've got the money coming in. It might be just the fear of stepping through the door with this pandemic thing that's been going on.
Absolutely, and especially that
we acknowledge. Oh, sorry, John.
No, carry on.
I don't think we acknowledge the impact it's having until a situation happens that causes us to overreact. And I think it's that steady flow of adrenaline that's constantly going on in our bodies, which, it helps us to survive. It helps us to keep going. That, when it becomes an overload, is your body's way of saying, this is my protection, don't go there. Yeah. Instead of seeing anger as the wrong thing, just see it as oh my God, it's showing me that something needs to be addressed.
Yes. So fear is showing us that there's something that needs to be addressed. So yeah, we don't need to fight it or feel ashamed about it. And as we mentioned, that because of what's happening out there in society, lots of people actually walking on fear. Walking, on eggshells, literally, in terms of, uncertainty. And as you said, just getting out there and thinking that, oh my God, we're going to, catch this new Delta Plus variant. There's so many variations of this virus. And so, we can't live our lives trapped in a corner and be fearful, because we have to live in hope and we have to live in faith. We have to have some sort of optimism in life. As my mother would say, while there's life, there's hope. I mean, we woke up this morning, didn't we, Dawn?
We made it only just this
morning. Yeah.
Good hair day.
I mean, luckily I've got no hair, Dawn, so I just had to brush and go this morning. And so. And fear, false evidence appearing real. So sometimes we can look at a situation and it's not as bad as it is it, Dawn?
No, it's not. I think the most important thing for me is always to acknowledge. And sometimes I feel like a broken record, because if I hear, like my son was talking about something yesterday, and I say to him, just stop for a moment and say, is that real? And he said, well, no, but that's how it makes me feel. And often our anger is a response to how, what's going on around us and how we feel inside.
Yes, and how we feel inside.
Yeah. So if we're listening to somebody who's angry, acknowledge, just let them have a vent for a while. It's not always pleasant. We don't always hear what they need to, or what they want to say, but it's validating what they're saying, what they're feeling. It's off their chest, it's out of their body, and then there's a place where you can take a deep breath in and go, okay, so should we talk about that? How can we turn that around? And for yourself, if you've got no one to talk to, I sometimes pick up my phone and press the record button and have a good old
vent to yourself.
I can't say the words on here, can I? It's a Sunday morning.
Yeah, but sometimes when people are really angry, it's difficult to sort of intervene when they're in that rage, and then for it to turn around to say, can we talk about that? Because some people don't actually want to talk about it because they're still angry.
No, they don't. No. So the best thing you can do is not do anything. Just stop.
Yeah, because that can be quite dangerous.
If you react to it, basically you're just fueling the fire. And
there you go.
I used to take my son to a lady called Jean Richards. She was a lovely lady, did brain gym.
Yeah.
And she said, the best thing you can do if you've got someone who's angry, and even for yourself, she said, when you hear your voice going up, take a moment to calm your voice down. Just go really quietly. So if someone's, belly aching in front of you and offloading all what they're feeling, just stop, take a breath, and speak so quietly, it breaks that energy. So you're breaking that to, and because you've done that,
because there's something in the Bible that says a soft answer turns away wrath. I remember that one when I was going Sunday school back in the day. A soft answer turns away wrath, and that's so true, because then if someone is on a high energy of explosion and you're sort of aligning in that with that energy, it's going to be, it's going to be ugly, isn't it? It's not going to be a good look. Yeah.
Okay. I would say,
so
though, Angela, always be aware. Oh, sorry, we chit chat.
Carry on.
I think we've got a little delay with our internet this morning.
Yeah, don't worry.
I think with I would say just be aware if you're with somebody who's angry, look after your welfare first. Don't assume that you've got to be able to fix it there and then.
Yes.
You know, if you're with someone who's volatile or angry, just be aware of that situation, reach out for help. Because that's normally the outcome of someone who's the anger's built up inside, where they've got anger, resentment, they're overwhelmed by things, they don't feel in control, and that anger is often exploded on someone else. And that's the ultimate, is where they start taking it on someone else.
Yes.
So be aware of your welfare.
Yeah, so it's very important that you look after your well-being instead of saying, trying to play that enabler or that rescuer in that situation, because you've got to be mindful of yourself and safeguard yourself, isn't it? Yeah. So I remember there was an angry situation at school where a student just exploded, as I mentioned, and I had to safeguard myself because, I'm thinking, good Lord, I could be attacked here, and nearly got attacked. And so, safeguarding yourself is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if we look at it in the past, I've actually, when I've been angry, I've made some really good decisions in my life. And I don't know where that anger came from, and it was really constructive. I walked away from relationships which were harmful to me, and from people who were being nasty to me and cheating on me. But it's like that anger can be really constructive, but the longer you let it fester in your body without doing something about it, the deeper impact it has on your mental well-being.
Yes. So feel the emotion and take action. Take that appropriate action when you feel a sense of anger. So important for you to actually take action and not let things fester, because, there are health implications. And we've talked about some of the health implications this morning. And as I mentioned, good morning to those that have just joined us. It's the Angela Lee Show, the mental health and wellbeing show this morning. It's Sunday. And I'm here with Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me. And we're talking about how we can actually express our anger, which is a normal emotion, in a healthy and positive way. And this morning, I've talked about some of the effects of anger, and particularly if we don't express it in a positive light, it causes anxiety, high blood pressure, headaches, migraines. And I know there's a lot of physical impacts that anger causes. Do you know about some physical things? I mean, we've talked about high blood pressure, anger, and anxiety. Any other physical things? Because I remembered when I was suffering from a lot of stress, I had muscle spasms, Dawn, over my body like a century ago.
Yeah, muscle spasms are quite natural because the body is overreacting on the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And for me, it always goes to my tummy. So I think a lot of days, when people are saying about irritable bowels and diverticulitis and all these stomach cancers and that going on, a lot of it actually materialize from the frustration, what's going on inside. Because you're not digesting it properly, you're producing the wrong chemicals to digest your food. And your stomach and your body's reacting. So it's like a gut reaction to the stress.
Yes, absolutely. And so if you're listening on the show this morning and you're suffering from any sort of bowel implications or mood swings or changes or anxiety or depression, high blood pressure, headaches, migraines, perhaps the root cause of your illness is actually unresolved anger. And that's what we're talking about this morning. We're giving you some techniques and some tools on how you can express a normal emotion effectively. And so another root cause of anger, Dawn, is actually shame. So people often react with anger when they feel disrespected, humiliated, or embarrassed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. If someone makes you feel that way, as you just mentioned with the guilt and shame and that, as a natural reaction to want to fight back. Yeah. And so sometimes that anger is really good because you can come up and you bring that kind of extra strength up, which says, excuse me, I don't want to be talking like that. But I think the problem comes, Angela, is when we don't express how someone's made us feel and we digest it. Literally.
Right. And we take it personally.
Walk away and go,
Yeah.
We literally walk away and our head is go on, really? And it doesn't take long before those thoughts in our head become our reality. And I think that's a lot of where the frustration comes, like with youngsters and that, because they've got all this negative feedback coming from social media and from friends and other people and the peer pressure and all that. So they're actually digesting all of this stuff and try to process, who am I? I might feel bad because I've done this, I might feel bad than that, and it just accumulates.
Yeah. So it's okay to, it's okay to feel anger. It's okay even if you explode, but obviously we've got to do this in a positive way, because the long-term impact, as you said, that can actually be your reality if you do not resolve that sense of anger. Betrayal is another root cause of anger, when you feel a sense of being betrayed.
Yeah. Oh my goodness me, yeah, I know this one. Do you want the full story or the 2-minute version?
Yeah, let's have. I mean, we're having a conversation this morning, So let's chat. We're having a conversation. Betrayal. I mean, I've been there too. I've been betrayed on many accounts, whether it's personal or business. Betrayal, Dawn.
Yeah, sometimes you can't ignore the fact that you feel these feelings, and I think that's the most important thing, to say, this is how I feel today. Because if you don't, it just goes down. And for me, anything you keep suppressing becomes depression.
Yes.
So if you feel betrayed by somebody, I would say find someone that you can talk to, someone that you can trust, and just talk it through until those feelings start to resolve themselves. If you can't talk to somebody, ring up a stranger. I've even rang the Samaritans at one stage because I just felt so angry. I didn't know how to express that anger. And I had 2 young children that I had to look after. So I literally picked up the phone. That's the first time ever I'd picked up and spoke to a total stranger. But it helped me to release those feelings.
Yes.
Because I want to do some real destructive stuff, I tell you. In the end,
as you usually do, yes, when you're angry. Yeah.
But I used it constructively, because I took, well, I'll say my ex's now. I took all his stuff, put it in his Jeep, drove it to his mother's, and left outside the house and put the keys through a letterbox, and then sent him a text and don't bother coming home. But to me that felt like I took some action.
Yes.
Regardless of the fact I forgot to take some money to get home with, but that was like another story.
Yeah.
I had to smile, but it's like sometimes we can use that energy constructively. But if you find that you're going over and over and over something, the more you go over it, the more you suppress it, I think that leads to depression and anxiety, because your body can't cope with that amount of stress.
Yes.
There's not an easy answer. It's sometimes you need a combination of things. For me, I always use the remedies. Holly is the first remedy I would pick, which is anger. And it's about that explosive, whether you're jealous, whether you're feeling rage, whether you're feeling like you just want to lash out at somebody. Find your own techniques which actually help. And as you said, we can get stress management, we can breathe, we can go and speak to a counselor. But the first most important thing is to say, is this helping me or is this hindering me?
Yes.
Because I've got I'm not going to say a name, but someone I know quite close to me, and she is what I'd call an angry person. She's angry at the world because of things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And if we don't address it, that just keeps building.
Yes.
And at what stage do we go from an angry thing or an angry feeling to it either self-destructs or it distracts somebody else?
Absolutely. Faith Pierce, good morning to you. She's just joined us. She's saying anger, I find, is most often it's not as others but at ourselves and what we have done and we put up and what we reacted to, and there has to be forgiveness and acceptance to move forward. Absolutely. Because sometimes, thank you for sharing that, Faith, sometimes we're actually angry with ourselves because we've actually put up with a lot, and we've and we've reacted to lots of challenging situations, and we're angry with ourselves. So if we're angry with ourselves, that's also an issue, because as we mentioned in the show, it's going to cause you, as Dawn also mentioned, it's repressed depression if you don't express that in a positive way. And so how important is it for us to forgive ourselves?
Oh, that should be at top of our priority list. In fact, I did that this morning when I lay there in bed. I thought I'll either jump out and be cross with myself because it's now like 17 minutes before I should be somewhere. Talking to Angela on the show. Or I can lay here and go, oh, I forgive you, Dawn, for that. And I think, there's a little practice that we can use as a meditation for that. But it's like, don't get to that point where you're beating yourself out. Because I think a lot of our suppressed feelings and the anger that comes out is because we've repressed these feelings that we're beating ourselves out. We're not good enough. We're not as clever as her. We can't do that as well as her. It just accumulates. And the angrier we are with ourselves, we might not call it anger, but the more we integrate that, the worse we feel about ourselves. So that self-esteem basically goes down, your value goes down, and that often comes out at somewhere else. And I think, especially as a parent or a leader of, something, it could come out on somebody else.
Yes, you project that to someone else, that energy, that toxic energy, which is become toxic because you're not actually expressing it. And as we mentioned this morning, anger is a normal emotion, but it becomes toxic when you don't actually express it in a positive way and take action. Good morning, William Derek Anderson. How are you doing? Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you. He's saying to carry on your work. It's divine. Thank you very much, William Derek. Thank you. And so, this is what we're talking about this morning. We're offering some help and some tools and techniques on how we can express our anger in a positive and a healthy way. And I know lots of us have tripped up. Lots of us have tripped up. I mean, I've tripped up. Dawn's tripped up. Lots of people have tripped up. We trip up. Sometimes we don't get it right. But however, we need to progress. We need to evolve. We need to mature. We need to learn how to do things differently. And we need to learn how to express our emotions, particularly our anger emotions, which is usually a warning sign that actually something's up. We're not happy with a situation or a circumstances. We need to learn as adults how we can express ourselves in a more healthy and a positive light. And particularly if you're a parent, I mean, what's the impact if you're a parent? And I know that you, Dawn, you've expressed your journey where you were an angry parent. What's the impact on that child, Dawn?
Well, the child could either react to what you're putting out there, or they could become introverted. And I'm not sure which is the worst, really, because a child who's always having anger thrown at them, I'm going to use that word for a moment, or projected at them, is actually going to think that's a way of dealing with things.
Yeah.
So in some cultures, I know, or like as a kid, I always thought my dad was an angry person. No one ever stopped to address it. He was just an angry person. And we all just learn to, adapt to deal with that. And looking back, I wish I'd have said something.
Yeah. Because that becomes a norm environment.
Yeah. But the problem, I think, comes, Angela, is when that child sees that as the norm, and then they use that as their characteristic or the way they are to then deal with other people in the world.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true, because that becomes a norm, and they think that shouting and barking at people is actually a normal way to actually communicate with people. Just imagine you go into a place of work and you're just barking and shouting at each other because you actually believe that is actually a normal behavior. It's quite destructive, isn't it, in terms of even personal development for yourself and the impact of others. I remembered I was married to a couple of years ago to an angry ex-husband, very angry. And I understood that the reason why he was angry was because he had repressed emotion and repressed feelings of hurt that he did not express. So for years, he was just an angry, ugly person, barking and shouting and impacting others. And so it's so important, as you said. I mean, as you said, you might have kids that are become introvert or extrovert, or actually they attract as we know, like attract like, and they probably enter relationships with a similar angry person, thinking that that's actually a healthy relationship.
That is so painful. If you stop and look at relationships, you can often see like a child who's mirroring their parents. And I think as a parent, if we start with one first, if a parent could stop and address and say, okay, I think this has got out of balance, I think this has gone wrong, they need to be honest with themselves. If that child is actually reacting to something, what are they reacting to? Are they mirroring what you're showing them?
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. Because you're I know lots of young people, basically, as I mentioned, I'm a teacher, and I see it within the school system. educational system, where you see young people that are like walking time bombs, and it's often things happening in the home where they haven't got that freedom to actually express themselves, and so it's repressed. And so the only outlet that they have to actually express it is actually at school. And so, we teachers, we get the brunt of that anger.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your body won't live with the anger and not have a reaction. And I think that's the problem nowadays. I think, like, in this last month, we've had 2 people murdered in our local little village or town, whatever you call it. And it's a beautiful place to be. And yet 2 people have lost their lives here because of someone got angry with them. And at separate occasions. And I think, what brings that person from, I'm okay, I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, to I want to lash out, to I kill somebody? How, when do we stop that escalation? When does that stop? And how can we stop it? I think that's the most important thing right now, is we're frustrated, we're irritated by this, even if we want to go, we're okay with it. We're irritated by this virus thing because we don't know where we stand, where it's safe to go. And we have money issues going on because things have changed. And that frustration has got to come out somewhere. And I think the best thing you do is talk about it, take a pad and paper and write down, I'm feeling this today. Maybe just do a inventory on how you are feeling today. Write those thoughts down and ask, is this helping me? Or is this actually hurting me?
Yes, how you're feeling. And it's good, as you said. I mean, as you mentioned, that sometimes you might not have that person that you can actually vent on or share that thought with. And so it's so important. It's very effective to write things down. It's so effective. It's very effective because you're actually, in writing, you're actually releasing, aren't you, Dawn?
Yeah, you're giving your mind a gentle release. I think it's nearly as good as talking, and no one's got to answer you back. Or no one's
answering you back.
When I sometimes I've had something go mulling over in my head, and I'll just think, why am I thinking this? And so instead of thinking, why am I thinking this, I'll write it down and ask, is this helping me? And what can I do about it? Who can I talk to? Who could I share this with? Can I take a remedy? Can I go for a walk out in the fresh air? Do I need to watch a movie for a while and just switch off, just give my mind a break?
And it's also wouldn't you agree, Dawn, that it's so important also to be mindful of who you're sharing that with? Because if you're sharing it with an equally angry, resentful person, that's going to add fire to, fuel to the fire, and that's not actually going to be helping you, is it?
Oh no, I've done that. We could have a pea pie. I've done that when I've been to a friend and she's equally as upset with what was going on in her life, and we had a real field party. When we come away, we were both like, oh, that was good, but we didn't resolve the issue. It just keeps escalating. I think the most important thing is, as you said, to choose who you share it with, because we're looking to resolve that situation when we're actually saying we're addressing it. So if you're looking to talk to somebody who's already angry about something, basically it's just going to fail.
It's not going to help. So that's really important. And so good morning to those that have joined us this morning. It's the Angela Lee Show, the Wellbeing and Mental Health Show, and we are having a conversation about how we looking at and exploring some tools and some strategies and some techniques on how we can actually express our anger in a positive, healthy way. We are aware that anger is a normal emotion such as love. It's a normal emotion. However, we have to take responsibility. It's our responsibility, particularly as adults, to learn how to express our anger in a positive and in a healthy way. Particularly, Dawn has just mentioned there's been 2 murders where she lives, and she lives in a village, and it's normally a nice environment, and she's had 2 murders. And we know so well that on the streets of London in the UK, there's been young people killing each other. There's that with knives, swords, and people have been witnessing those murders on the streets, in broad daylight, or perhaps you're in a relationship where you have witnessed or experiencing toxic outbursts of anger, and you're perhaps living in fear because someone is not actually expressing their anger in a positive light, or perhaps you're at a place of work. I mean, I remembered working with an employer. I had an angry boss, toxic, always projecting her anger at her employees, or perhaps a toxic colleague that you're working with. And so there's so many variations of, you know, anger, or where or what that anger can look like in whatever environment you're in. Faith is saying it's so important to find a healthy outlet. The two extremes, either lashing out or internalizing it, or externally. The increase in suicides over the past 18 months have been so worrying. Absolutely. Dawn.
Yeah, that is worrying. And I've known youngsters who took their lives, and I've known older people who just basically giving up. And often it's because they haven't digested and sorted out these feelings. They can't let them go. And I would say, be honest with yourself. If you're feeling these feelings right now, just go to yourself and go, come on, you deserve better than this.
Yeah.
It starts with you, because if you actually can go to yourself, and I'd say go to your heart chakra. And I love rose quartz, and I've got a nice big one here, Dayla. We don't need that big, but this is my demonstration. Okay?
Yeah.
Because if you actually imagine that rose quartz is filled with love, and you're going to use that energy, and that's what you need in your body to hold in maybe something like a crystal, and just go, come on, I can do this, and become your own best friend. Talk yourself through that feeling. I love myself, and I'm feeling kind to me today.
Yeah.
You start respecting your feelings and what you're experiencing.
Yeah. Self-talk. So our self-talk is so important in terms of the things that we tell ourselves. It's good to be honest, to say, yep, acknowledge your anger. Yes, I'm angry. This person is making me feel like this. Acknowledge it. And your self-talk, the things that you tell yourself, is equally important. And the people, as Faith, and as we mentioned earlier, it's who we actually express that anger or vent that anger to. Because if you're venting out to an equally angry person, you know, you're looking for a resolve, you're looking for a solution. That's not going to help. That's going to escalate things. So this morning, wherever you are listening this morning, oh dear, we've got a host. I've got a croaky voice. Wherever you're listening to this morning, maybe perhaps Dawn, I need to express some anger.
You've got something on your chest.
Something I need to share. Let me have a look in my contacts and see who it is this morning. But we're having, we're having fun this morning, because it's nice to talk about something that is quite serious in a nice, healthy, fun environment, not a toxic environment. Because I've experienced lots of angry people, or perhaps I have had a situation where I felt really angry, but I've learned within the years how to when you reflect, you do your personal reflection, observation, you, as Dawn says, you write things down, and you say to yourself, okay, how can I express this in a positive light? How can I now have a conversation with this person? And perhaps we can't. Perhaps we can't have that conversation. So it's good to write that down. And I remembered, I think Dawn also mentions this, counselors mention this, that perhaps you can't actually meet up with that person that you're angry with. Perhaps things are going to escalate. Then you can actually use a counsellor, or perhaps even write them a letter. How effective is writing letters, Dawn, if you can't meet up with that person?
I've written letters to people. I've not always posted them, not the first draft anyway, because there's a lot of expletives in there that I didn't okay. So what I want to say to somebody is, this is how it's made me feel. And I actually think I could be really good at being a Scorpio as well. I could be very good at blaming people and saying it's your fault. Well, actually, if I step back and take some responsibility, I didn't have to react like that. I could have chosen a different way. And I think for me, forgiveness of myself actually started first. And then when I was in that space where I could forgive myself, which we maybe could do as a little meditation if you want, Angela, we could actually just forgive ourselves for all those feelings we've been holding, let them go, see ourselves being showered with love, and then talk what I say through our higher self to that person concerned. So that you're not actually saying it directly to them. You're not actually waiting for some feedback, which, we often get the wrong feedback. We're actually saying, I want to let this go now. I want to forgive you. Or maybe I don't, but I'm forgiving me and I'm learning to forgive. And I think it starts that process of letting go of that anger. Just saying, I really don't want this in my body anymore. Because your body, I know, my last book, I read, Free to Be Me. Okay, I'm going to send you some remedies later. Because it does actually often, it manifests here in your higher heart because you can't express what you're feeling. So that's where shock often sits in your body. So the anger becomes a shock. And what I would say
I'm not angry with anyone, Dawn, believe me. I don't know what, I'm not angry with anyone. I've actually, expressed myself to like a recent incident that I had maybe a few weeks ago. I usually, in the past, I would react. Someone says something, you say something back, and I would react. It would be like a back and forth. But I've learned that, as you mentioned, sometimes you don't react. As Jay mentioned, sometimes don't react. Don't be jolted, and just digest it, and then respond in a healthier way. As we mentioned, sometimes a softer answer, de-escalate that toxic energy, or write that letter. I mean, I've written letters that I haven't mailed, or write something and you burn it as a form of release, isn't it, Dawn? Yeah. And perhaps we can do an exercise. Perhaps we can do an exercise this morning for those who are experiencing some anger. Perhaps you're angry with someone this morning. Dawn's going to take us through a little exercise this morning. So do you want to do that, Dawn? I'm really feeling this.
Okay. So I'd say, first of all, take 5 minutes, and you might not want to do it all at once, so we can do it in 2 parts, is write down everything that's bothering you today.
Okay.
So it might be a small thing to a big thing. Write them down and put them on a bit of paper and go outside.
Okay. So those that are listening this morning, get yourself a pen and paper. If you're lying down in your bed, you can stretch, reach out for that pad of paper. For those that are listening on the airwaves, on YouTube, or on Facebook Live or StreamYard, get yourself a pad or a piece of paper with a pen or a pencil and start jotting down. Yes, Dawn.
Okay. So write down anything and everything that's bothering you. Okay, and let it go. And it doesn't matter how big or small it is, because the small things can even trip you over the edge if you're feeling angry about something. Okay, and then just imagine yourself sitting in your chair or laying on your bed, wherever you be, and your higher self is up above you in a beautiful golden light. And she knows, or he knows, everything about you that needs to be released. And they're your best friends. So you're going to just, for the moment, just breathe into your heart chakra. And I choose to let go of everything that no longer serves me. So breathing into the feelings that you're holding in your body and see them being taken away. I forgive myself and I let them go. And just keep sending those feelings away. Any thoughts, any memories, any anger, frustration, guilt, want to lash out, just let them go and see them just releasing. Just let them go, let them go, let them go. Just keep breathing in, and any other thought comes in during the day, oh, I'm going to let it go. And it's just a gentle movement of letting go. Just releasing, and I forgive myself, and I let it go. And you do a little bit at a time. You might not be able to change the whole world in one day, but you can do it each night when you go to bed or when you find yourself in that space. And then you ask your body to say thank you. And you're saying thank you to yourself, really. You're acknowledging that you're doing this healing. So thank you to me, to you, Angela, to your friends who are listening. Thank you for letting go. And then see this beautiful light just showering you and filling up all those spaces that have been left empty now, so that we don't refill it with old stuff. And see your body and your mind being filled with that golden light as it fills your mind. It gently flows down into your throat. Filling up your hearts. Gently down into your tummy. Into your hips. And as you breathe in, you just blow it down, let it go down into the feet, connect into the earth. Just breathing in that light into every cell in your body, letting it go. And if you've got a little more time, you just spend as much time as you need, just filling your light, your body, filling the light and the body together. It just becomes one. And then seeing that beautiful shower light filling your energy field around you. Because your energy field is often where we hold things that we've let go of in our mind and our body, but they're sitting in our energy fields. So our healing field becomes distorted. So just see that energy field become brighter, brighter, and brighter. And flowing down to the earth and letting go. And I forgive myself and I let it go. It is done. And thank you. And I am love. Back to that place because you are love. On some level, whether it's this lifetime or past lifetimes, we've got issues that have been unresolved. So we just keep resolving them. And then if we want to take it a stage further, Angela, and talk to that other person, we imagine them across the room and their higher self above them. And that golden light of forgiveness goes up from ourselves to our higher self, across the room, and we're talking gently to them. I am learning to forgive. I am trying to forgive. I'm working on forgiving you. Whatever it is you want to say. You're sending those thoughts across to that person with love. And I'm letting it go now. I'm handing back that responsibility to you as I let it go. And see that light just shimmering down towards them. Know that they will find this love at the right time, because you don't want to be angry, you don't want to be resentful towards them. You just want to send that love to your loved ones so it doesn't keep feeding back to you, and they can live in harmony, and so can you. And if you just take a moment, Angela, just send this out to anybody outside in the world, in our little counties, in our towns, our villages in the world that need love right now. Just ask that this peace and quiet and this calm comes to them. They can see a way forward now that comes from a place of love. Ask for forgiveness and compassion to come back to us all, so we can start again from a place of harmony and bliss.
Great. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Right,
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm hoping that you've all enjoyed that short meditation and release in terms of how you can actually release your anger this morning. So effective.
Yeah.
And it's so important for us to reach out to our higher self. I remembered I was writing a couple of thoughts in terms of how angry I was at an individual maybe like 2 weeks ago. And my lower self would have actually sent that note. However, it's so important to listen to your inner voice and your intuition, because I was, listening to my inner voice and my intuition goes, don't send it. And sometimes it's so important, maybe perhaps just to write it down. You don't need to send it. And I was so happy that I actually listened to my higher self, and I didn't actually send that letter, but I felt that sense of release in actually writing down my thoughts and writing down how that person made me feel. And it's so important, as Dawn also mentions, that we apply, some love and empathy, compassion to that person that we're actually even feeling angry about, because they're equally human beings as well. And perhaps they are also feeling angry about something too. And so instead of reacting and lashing out, that can escalate and even impact on relationships, it's good to listen to your inner voice, your intuition. And if you are a person that's quite balanced, I mean, if you're not balanced, you won't be able to listen to that inner voice. But if you're a person that is quite reflective and balanced, then you're able to listen to that inner voice. And sometimes you don't need to send it. It's just for you to release those thoughts and release the pain. What do you think, Dawn?
Yeah, that's such a valid thing to do, Angela, because our body, your body, mine, anyone who's listening, it can't thrive and feel joyful when you're holding these angry thoughts inside you and these feelings, because your thoughts that keep manifesting become inside. And I think it's the main cause of disease at the moment. We can't thrive and feel joyful and happy if we're in that place, because we keep putting it away, keep putting it off aside, and then we go back indoors in our own little space, and our head keeps building it up and accumulating.
Yes, and it's that repeated record of that thought, of that feeling, or that hurt that person has done to you. So it's so important for you to release it. Yeah, very effective to release it. And so this morning, if you're listening to the show this morning and you're feeling a sense of anger, if you want to put any thoughts or any suggestions, or if you want to sort of share anything that you've experienced for maybe last week or even within a couple of months ago, or maybe you're holding on to ancestral or generational pain or hurt, put it to us this morning. And if you've got any questions that you would like Dawn, who is the author of Free to Be Me, or myself to answer this morning, then just feel free. Faith is saying healthy perspectives is really important, normalizing how you are feeling and reframing the situation. So important to reframe that situation, because as we said, fear is false evidence appearing real. And sometimes in a situation where we're feeling really angry about, that's actually not what the situation is. And sometimes our perspective is actually quite blurred, isn't it, Dawn?
Yeah, absolutely. Often it comes because we're feeling vulnerable in ourselves or insecure. And when we're feeling oversensitive in that way, basically anything that's coming towards us is going to get worse. And so it's like we're picking up a magnet of all this negativity, and then we just react to it.
Yes.
Can I just share a couple of little tips that I think I find really helpful, because I'm a person who likes to do things visually.
Yes,
or I need something to hold on to. I'm a bit of a tactical person, I think I call it.
And one of the first things
well, most of the time when you become too huggy, everyone tells me I've missed the hugs in all of this situation. Okay, but what I actually found is two ways that I think someone shared these with me years ago, and I always remember they really work. As this person said to me, she said, imagine that cup in front of you, and I think Dr. McCarry, I can't remember his name actually, Makuto or something, I can't remember, did this test where he actually took the glasses of water and said negative words to like 4 glasses of water.
Yeah.
And then he examined the water under a microscope and then cut through the ice, or froze them and cut through the ice, and looked at the crystals within there, and they were all distorted. And he said, imagine that cup of water in your hand is your friend, or whoever you're projecting anger out to, or even yourself.
Yeah.
And the effect those words are having on you is distorting that water. If you drank it, it's got to taste poisonous. So your thoughts is going to be toxic, they're going to be detrimental, they've got to be harsh, they've got to hurt you when you drink that water. And the other part of the experiment, he took this glasses of water and said loving, kind words to them, and then put them under the microscope after they've been frozen and sliced through, and these crystals were formed and absolutely beautiful. We said, now imagine that cup of water is you or your friend, whoever it is you're talking to, your loved one, and just imagine you're talking kind, loving thoughts to that person, and imagine the effect that has. So if you sit with a cup of water and you're a bit angry, just let those angry thoughts go and send loving thoughts into the water. So thank you for the water and so grateful for you. And just hold that for a few moments and then drink that water. And as it flows through your body, just feel that sensation of love going through you. And it's using something tactile, because kinesthetic, touching things, actually triggers part of the brain. It triggers the meridians in your body, which helps calm and soothe things down. So by doing something practical, you're giving your mind a solution and something to work with instead of being stuck in the problem. I nearly threw this all over the computer. So that's
and that is, thank you for sharing that, Dawn. That is something quite simple, isn't it? And something that you can actually do for yourself. You can do that because, you know, sometimes some of us are a bit apprehensive to talk to people that we don't know, whether it's a counselor or a therapist. So this is a practical exercise that you can actually do yourself, reaching out for that cup, as Dawn mentioned, or writing your thoughts, writing that letter. You don't have to send it. You can burn it, or you can actually send it, depending on what you're writing. When you sort of as Dawn mentioned, she's written something in first draft and she thought, better not send it, similar to myself. And so it's so important that we actually release that emotion in a positive way. That's what we're talking about this morning. I'm going to see you in a little while. And so just send us some questions if you've got any questions, if you want to share anything. And I'm going to see you in a bit after this one. It's the Angela Lee Show this morning. Join in the conversations this morning.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough.
And we're talking about how you can actually overcome, or how you can express your anger emotion in a positive, healthy light. Send us some thoughts this morning.
More than just the sum of every high and every low. Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing.
And we're streaming live on Facebook Live, also on YouTube and on ellensoulradio.com, and also on StreamYard. So join in the conversations this morning. It's Angela Lee on the Spiritual and Wellbeing Show this Sunday morning. You have control over your emotion, and you are equally responsible for your emotion. So important for us to forgive ourselves, not to beat ourselves up. And sometimes anger is us being angry with ourselves. You'll be surprised how much we can help ourselves. When we feel weak, we're really strong. Join in the conversations this morning. So important for us to do positive self-talk in terms of the things that we're telling ourselves this morning. It's the Angela Lee Show this morning. So join in the conversations this morning. And we are here with Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me. Okay, we're back. It's Angela Lee on the Angela Lee Show. That song is so apparent, because sometimes, you know, we feel that, you know, especially when we've exploded, we feel that we've lost control, and we feel a sense of shame and guilt because of how we handled that situation. This morning, you can turn that situation around. You have the power, because you are responsible for your behavior. You're responsible for your the way you express your anger, which is a healthy emotion. Good morning to my sister Jenny. How are you doing? She's listening to the show this morning. And so anger is a normal emotion. That's what we're talking about this morning. For those that have joined us, it's a normal emotion. However, we have to be mindful, and I'm here with Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me. We have to be mindful that we express it in a positive light. And Dawn has just shared a lovely technique where we can do something with something as simple as a cup, and or we can actually do breathing exercises. We've actually spoken how dangerous it is to hold on to unresolved anger or hurt. The effects is enormous, or the impact is enormous. It causes anxiety, high blood pressure, headaches. Dawn has mentioned sometimes it impacts our bowels. And sometimes some people, they have irritable bowel syndromes. I've experienced in the past muscle spasms. And so the impact of trapped anger is enormous. And so we're offering those tips this morning on how you can actually release the anger. And so, Dawn, I just want to reiterate again the importance of writing things down. For those of that people who are just listening, how important, how effective it is to write things down, particularly those, as we mentioned, that are a bit apprehensive to go out or reach out to someone externally. Just want you to reiterate the importance of actually writing things down.
If you write things down, you're giving your mind, it's like an avenue where you're releasing it from your head. So you're saying, this is the priority. This is what I need to work on today. And as you're listing those things, you know, don't try and do it in posh. Just anything and everything that comes out of your thoughts, put it on paper. And as you're releasing, you're allowing your mind a space to say, it's okay to let go. And when you're also releasing, you're starting a different chain reaction in your mind, which starts producing the chemical oxytocin and dopamine, which says, I'm taking my power back. So I'm empowering myself by doing this. Because when you're angry, you don't normally feel in control. By writing it down, you're taking back your power. You're saying, I'm addressing this now. I'm letting it go. I'm putting it on paper. I'm giving myself an avenue or place to be a safe, open space. And that's what you're doing. You're saying this is a safe, open space to just go, this is what I'm feeling today. You're not actually judging yourself. You're just saying, oh, putting it out here. But can I just add something to that, Angela? If you have been angry and you've made mistakes and that, be gentle on yourself. Just, it's happened. You can't change it. Let's go back and start sorting it. And, you know, for me, when I've written things down and I look at them and I think, oh, God's sake, Dawn, why did you do that? That wasn't very nice. And I, you know, you feel that feeling, that gut feeling in your stomach when you've made a mistake, don't you? And I'll go, okay, so how can I change that? How can I address it? Maybe I need to call somebody. Maybe for the moment, I'm not in the right place to do so. But at least I've got those things written down that I know I can come back to and I can see things more objectively when they're on paper.
Yeah. And so, so important to thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. It's so important for us to be gentle with ourselves. And so, perhaps we've tripped. Perhaps we didn't handle the situation properly, because sometimes out of fear and fright moment, we react to a given situation, and we're either gonna, it's a fear or flight situation. Do you want to expand on that scenario, Dawn, for me?
Okay, so when we're in fear space, we're basically, it's our protection field. So if we've got something going on, and it might be an ongoing situation where things are making me feel agitated, we might just say, oh, that irritates me or makes me fed up, or that's getting on my nerves. Listen to the words you're saying. And that's what I started doing, writing down the words I'm saying to myself. That's getting on my nerves. Well, if something's getting on my nerves, I need to address that. Because your mind can't, your mind literally, really very clever piece of machinery, but it can't go from I'm in a fear space, or what I'd call a primitive state of survival, to a place where it feels like it's taking control until you actually move it from one to the other.
Yeah, so you've got to address it. You've got to address it.
Yeah. And that's where, if you had a counsellor that you trusted, you could do that. But if you don't have that privilege, let's be honest with ourselves. If we start empowering you, or you start empowering you, you feel like you're taking back control. So that helps to resolve some of those feelings. And then your body starts producing chemicals that makes you feel supported. Something simple. Like I used to write down loads of stuff and sit and look at it, and then turn the page over and think, I'll look at that tomorrow. Because at the moment, that was too much as an overload. So I'd sit and give myself a hug. It produces the oxytocin. And it's like, let it go, Dawn. Let it go. Breathe. Let it go. Forgive myself. And so I do a little ceremony for myself, like a mini meditation where I breathe into myself and, okay, well done for getting this, Dawn. Well done. Really proud of you. I start nurturing myself to a place where I feel more comfortable in myself again.
Yes. And so it's good. It's so important for us to do that self-care. And so if you have exploded this week or last week or in the past, and you feel a sense of shame or guilt, then as Dawn mentioned this morning, as we mentioned, it's so important for you to forgive yourself. Give yourself that self-love and that self-care, because at the end of the day, you're a human being. No one's perfect, Perhaps we're going to explode next week. Perhaps we're going to explode tomorrow. But if we know the techniques and the strategies and the tools that we can actually explore and do our own self-management in terms of our anger and expressing that, then that's actually going to help us, isn't it? Because we are going to trip up at some point, because we're humans. We're just, on our individual journey, but we need to be mindful that our emotion is our responsibility. How important is it not to play the blame game then, Dawn? Once we've forgiven ourselves, and we've given ourselves that self-love, how important it is to take responsibility of our own emotions and not play that blame game.
Oh, that's so important, Angela, because I think it's really easy to blame somebody else. And actually that person maybe shouldn't have treated you that way. But actually, I try to put myself in what I call that position and place where I think, imagine what they're feeling today. And I can't always do it when I'm in a situation, but I take time to reflect afterwards. I wonder what they're going through that's made them react like that. Because often their anger, their frustration is a reaction to what, or the way they're treating you is a reaction to how they're feeling about themselves. Just like my anger, my frustration is a reaction to something I'm feeling inside. So if someone says, oh, for God's sake, Dawn, don't be stupid, that reminds me of something when my dad used to say that, or my school teacher said that.
So sometimes that could be, so sometimes that's underlining, as we talked about, underlining unresolved issues of the past, whether it's generational or ancestral. And as we mentioned that there's a lot of people that have high blood pressure, they have anxiety, they have depression, and that is because they are holding on to unresolved issues. And as Dawn mentioned, I like that phrase that you used in terms of what that disease looks like, Dawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if I come back to what Dr. Bach said, because the flower remedies they're my kind of go-to, they're my first aid kit. He said when there's a void between your thinking and who you should be is when dis-ease sets in. So if you're feeling, oh, I'm angry about it, I'm frustrated, that's not who you're meant to be. That's your reaction to something that's happened in your life, and now you're digesting it, you're feeling it, and you're splitting it out to the world. And that's where we say, oh, he's just an angry person. And people sometimes accept that, but actually I always think, no, come on, clear away those layers. Why have they become an angry person? What's happened
there's
to
a
them?
reason. Yes. People are not just born angry.
I don't think they are. I think, some of it, can be genetic. I know that. But some of it, a lot of it, I think the majority of it is actually things that have accumulated over years and we haven't reacted to. And then at the wrong situation, in the wrong moment, we react. And then
that's important. Okay, let's touch on that genetic aspect then, Dawn. So an angry person, it could be genetic. Do you want to expand on that for me?
Okay, so if I'm looking back at I'll use my own family, and I'm sure if my sisters and them see this, they'll be going, "Well, the hell!" But don't worry, I'll deal with that myself. It has to be put somewhere, Angela. Okay, my dad's dad was a very angry person, and he treated them all badly. He treated family really badly. And my dad actually followed and used that patterns of behavior that he'd learned. And obviously had become part of his dad's makeup. So those energetic energies on a genes level come through to the child. And then that's the way my dad, for example, or any dad or any parent or anyone who's got children could actually think that's the way to deal with their children. So a good smack around the ear or get the belt off and smack them one would be a way of changing that situation.
So that's an ancestral lineage that goes into your system and continues into the next generation if you don't deal with it. And I can actually resonate with that. I remember my ex-husband, as I mentioned, he was such an angry person. Good Lord. And I can see sometimes when a situation arises, why certain people behave in a particular way. And my ex-husband, he had unresolved issues of his childhood where he did not actually deal with his situation. So that is so key, Dawn.
If I go back to, if we were looking at the past, sometimes we say it's genetic, and yes, it could be like we've got brown eyes or blue eyes or with this color skin or that color skin. But I think a lot of it is in the makeup of the way we've experienced our life.
Yes, true.
It becomes how we actually then respond or react.
Yeah, true. Sometimes, as you said so rightly, learnt behavior, because our parents handle the situation this way. Perhaps our parents were explosive, and so we believe through learnt behavior that this is the way that you handle things. But it's okay. Do you know what I mean? We're not all, many of us have had lots of colourful childhood experiences or experiences, and so it's okay. We haven't all had a wonderful colourful life. However, on the show today, we are offering you some techniques, and we know, as Dawn said at the beginning of the show, it's so important for you to even acknowledge that I'm actually an angry person, and to sort of investigate, where is this anger coming from. If you're not acknowledging it, then you can't even begin to actually address it if you're not actually acknowledging it. I think Carol's written something here. Is it Masaru Emoto was a Japanese scientist who claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water, and he published a book in 2004, The Hidden Message in Water, which is a New York bestseller. Are you quite aware of that one?
That was the gentleman's name I was trying to think of, because I referred to it in my book, Free to Be Me, but I couldn't remember his name offhand.
Okay. But thank you for sharing that, Carol. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. But if we're looking at the big picture, Angela, sorry, can I just share for a moment?
I think
that's really important. absolutely priority, that when you recognize that maybe you've gone wrong or gone off track, we're not here to judge yourself. And we're not here to judge anybody who's angry.
No.
Let's just say, come on, wouldn't it be lovely if we had a world where we could all come together and go, what's causing this? How can we change this? How can we turn it around?
Yeah. And that's what we're looking at, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we change things? Yeah.
Yeah.
How can we turn things around?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't want to be angry. I'm sure nobody really wants to be angry. And I'm sure, I don't know if people set out to murder somebody else. Well, I think some people might. But I think, you know, how do we get to that point where we hurt somebody? I don't know. Is it verbally? Do we mean to hurt somebody? I don't think so. I think it's a reflection of how we feel. So if we empower ourselves by looking at what we're feeling, that's our job, really, isn't it? That's our job in life.
Yeah, empowering self. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you, Dawn, so much for joining me today on the show. As we addressed, and you know, we had a good conversation, a chat to do with how we can actually express our emotions in a positive light. Because as Dawn says, we're not here judging anyone, because we've been angry too. We're human, but we're here to share tips and tools on how you can overcome, or not even so much overcome, how you can actually manage your anger more positively, more healthily. And I'm hoping that if you just joined the show, you can listen to the replay this morning, because we started off early. Dawn is the author of Free to Be Me. So if you haven't got her book, get her book. It's an excellent book that you can actually delve into. And so, Dawn, do you want to share a little bit about your book, just to plug it there in the show?
Okay. I've got to get a copy. Let me go.
I've got a copy. I've got a copy in my other room.
Me, I like tactile. I like feelings. Okay.
Yeah.
So this book actually is full of self-help tips to help people manage their feelings, basically.
There you go.
And this one came about because I was angry, which is ironic. We're talking about that today. It came about because someone was disrespectful of me and what, you know, the way I'm not going to do this story right now, but they were disrespectful of me, and my blood pressure went up. I was so angry and so cross. My blood pressure kept rising to a point where I actually had a stroke.
Really?
So I used,
Wow.
And I'd already started to write this book, but it was called Transform Your Life, which I've not quite got yet. And it was full of self-help tips to help people with stress and anxiety and panic attacks. And it talks about the flower remedies, which are a natural healing, you know, for the emotions.
Yeah. And
so I started reading up on the book and reading the techniques and using those techniques to help me get back to a place where I felt okay in myself again.
And that's incredible, Dawn. That's
so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the book. It's in my bedroom, because I always sort of read a section every day, Dawn. It's so inspiring. Morris, good morning, DJ Cookie and Morris Phillips. Thank you for sharing your show with me, Angela. I have time today. Okay, he's going to have time to catch up. And DJ Cookie is saying, or Clive, I should say, that's his DJ name. How to self-regulate yourself. It's so important to self-regulate yourself. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Dawn. Yeah, it's a very positive, effective book. And I didn't realize that. Yeah. Just imagine that you can be so angry with yourself that you have high blood pressure, and that's why it escalates to even having a stroke.
Yeah.
So this repressed emotion, or not expressing yourself positively, the impact is enormous, isn't it, Dawn?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, this made me feel like excuse me. It's got some shock up now for me, look, because I haven't spoke about it for a bit. I actually, with what I know, Angela, and what I'd learned, I should have known better. And that's what I'd say to anybody. If you're angry about something, you feel that anger building up inside you, please work with it right there and then.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it accumulates and gets bigger and bigger, because once it gets to that point, your body starts reacting. And in a way, that stroke saved my life. I didn't really appreciate it, because it took me 3 months to get back to a place where I felt okay.
That was your warning sign.
Yeah, that's my protection. And any anger that you're rejecting out there or projecting out is your body's way of saying, I'm protecting you so that you don't keep imploding.
Wow. How powerful is that?
But don't put it out on other people.
Mm.
work with yourself before you get to that point where you project it on someone else and hurt them, whether it's verbally, mentally, physically. That words, feelings, the act of anger, you can't take it back.
No.
But we can learn to forgive it and start again.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me on the show today. Many blessings. Many blessings. Have a great day.
Thank you, my lovely. Thank you. See you soon. Have a great day.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And you need to get that book, Free to Be Me, Dawn Crystal. You can get it on Amazon. And she shared something quite personal in terms of her experience of getting that high blood pressure that actually turned into a stroke. And so it's so important. If you're holding on to anger this morning, so important that you let it go. And sometimes you wonder lots of people having strokes. They've got high blood pressure, they've got anxiety, they've got migraines, they've got headaches, they've got panic attacks, they've got all sorts of ailments that's linked to unresolved expression of your emotion. Good morning, Andrea. How you doing? Unexpressed emotion. And as Dawn says, as Dr. Batch says, it's a disease. It's a disease when you can't actually express yourself, if you're actually internalizing your feeling and you're making it fester until it's going to cause an explosive reaction. That's not how we want to actually live our lives. That's not what we want to project to people in our lives. And Andrea said, I'm going through that panic attacks. And Andrea, I used to suffer from panic attacks like a century ago. I tell you, I used to suffer from that. It's totally gone. I think mine went when the ex-husband went. And that's no joke. That's keeping it real. I can laugh about it now, but at the time, I tell you, it was serious, Andrea. Yeah. And I was told by my counselor, Andrea, and thank you for sharing that personal experience, that my panic attacks was actually, the root cause was actually fear. And although we are saying that fear is false evidence appearing real, but my situation, because lots of people know my colourful background, mine was birthed in fear. I mean, my ex-husband caused fear in the home. Do you know what I mean? He was an angry person, and he was angry because obviously he did not deal with his emotions, because actually he was carrying a lot of generational and ancestral hurt. That was literally ancestral, because it was going on with his family for centuries and years. And so, and as Dawn mentions, that it can be genetic. It's something that you pass on your energies to your children. You pass on your energies to your family. So can actually be genetic. So it's so important as adults that we sort out our anger. And if you listen to the show, because we started from 9 this morning, replay it, and you can actually share in the meditation, the positive affirmations, and the things that we've shared on the show. That's Dawn, the author of Free to Be Me. She's left the link on the chat. Talking, I just went off a bit there. I managed to overcome my fear by dealing with the root cause of my fear. And the root cause of my fear was actually my ex-husband, because he was quite aggressive, quite an angry person. It was like an emotional, mental, abusive type of marriage. And lots of you know my story. And I endured that for 20 years, thinking that, you know what? I need to stay with this man because I want my kids to have a father in their lives. I didn't want to become a single mother, or not so much a single mother. I just wanted them to have a father figure in their lives, because I know that in my childhood, my father was absent because my parents was divorced. And so I held on to him, not knowing that I was holding on to something that was toxic. And as soon as I let him go, the panic attacks went. So I'm not actually putting it out that maybe some of us need to sort of let go our partners, but maybe in some instances, if someone's toxic in your life, you need to deal with that, address it, and release it and let it go. Carol is saying, appreciate your lives. They are well presented and informative. The message today resonates with my journey. I came across Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese scientist who claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water. And he published a book in 2004, The Hidden Messages Water, which was a book, is a New York seller. And he never drank water the same way again. And I speak kind, edifying words to it. You can even see the water ripple when, you know, the breath pass. And so, yeah, thank you. Andrea's laughing. I no longer want to be reactive. Absolutely, Carol. And I used to be a reactive person. I used to react to everything. I used to be an enabler. I used to be a rescuer. And I've stopped. I used to be a caretaker long ago. I've stopped. I started to self-reflect and start looking at how I can actually take care of me. I started to look at how I can actually, you know, take care of me. And as Dawn said so rightly, you know, we need to self-care. We need to reflect. We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves, not to beat ourselves up. And so what if we trip? So what if we've got it wrong? You know, we can still, you know, rein in the reins and, you know, self-care and do that necessary inner shadow work where we can look after ourselves. Andrea saying, yes, and going through that with my ex is doing my nut in. Okay, being there, hun, mental and physical. Yes, look after yourself first. Yeah, and so, you know, sometimes we're in toxic relationships. Maybe we need to reflect. You know, is that, you know, what is that relationship doing to me? Do you know, is it good for me? You know, is that relationship good for me? You know, sometimes we need to do it, like as Dawn says, an inventory. You know, is this relationship helping me? Is it good for me? And I was having a conversation with someone that I met, you know, just having a meal with my daughter. We met someone, and I felt drawn. And my daughter was saying, reach out to her, and I reached out to her. You know, exchange numbers, and I was mortified when she started to share. I don't need to disclose her name. She started to share that she was actually running from a domestic violence situation in her home, where it was actually her parents, you know, being aggressive, and her parents being that toxic person, being physical, you know, grown woman, and she had to run for her life. And so, you know, she had to do what was good for her. She had to leave. And she felt that, you know, her world was crumbling because she has got to start over. And I actually encouraged her, and I said, actually, your world or your life is just beginning, because you made that positive choice for you to say, actually, no more. And so perhaps this morning you need to actually, you know, sort of take an inventory in terms of your relationship that you have probably with your parents, with your siblings, with your family, with your colleagues, with your employer, and see whether that environment is actually good for you. And is it causing you to become angry? And if you're angry this morning, listen to the replay. And before I go, just start writing your thoughts, as Dawn said. You know, Dawn shared. You know, start writing down your thoughts. Start writing down your thoughts. Or probably you can put your phone on and do an audio recording and vent out to yourself your thoughts. Important to release that anger, release that hurt, release how that person made you feel. If you can see a counselor, then that's good. I know the NHS has a talking therapy where you can call someone on the phone and you can just talk. Dawn has mentioned that on so many occasions. She's actually called the Samaritans. So it's so important that you actually take action when you are feeling that sense of being overwhelmed in terms of being angry, and you've reached that boiling point. It's so important for you to take action, because repressed anger, it causes a disease. We've talked about it: anxiety, high blood pressure, strokes, irritable bowel syndromes, because we've actually held on to that expressed emotion, or we've exploded in an unhealthy way. As adults, it's our responsibility to take responsibility of our own actions, because we're responsible for how we feel. We are ultimately responsible for how we think. We are responsible for our behavior. So we can't play the blame game. And as Dawn mentioned, that we need to say, okay, this person made me feel like this. And we need to take responsibility of our feelings and take action. Speak to a counselor. Probably do that exercise that Dawn mentioned earlier on in the show. Listen to the replay. The water effect, as Carol Fraser mentioned. Do whatever you need to do in order to release that anger. Write it down and vent it out audibly. Talk to a counselor. Talk in therapy. You need to talk to someone. You can't keep it in your body because it actually impacts your health. And we've mentioned the health impacts. And so this morning, I'm hoping that you found this show useful, beneficial, because we're all on our own individual journeys. Be kind to yourself. Be loving to yourself. This Sunday, give yourself the self-love, the self-care that you need. This morning, be good to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Forgive yourself. If you messed up, if you've tripped, if you've been angry, if you've exploded, be gentle to yourself and address it. Address it straight away. Find a solution, a resolution this morning. Hoping that you found the show helpful for you this morning. And following after me on the Ellen Soul Radio, we have Anthony B with his 80s show, so keep it locked. And as you know, we're streaming live on ellensoulradio.com. Also, we're streaming live on Facebook Live. This morning, we're streaming live on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So for those that are listening, please subscribe. I need more subscribers. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I mean, there's loads of different messages that I am continuing to post to encourage and support you out there, because as you know, my story, I've managed to overcome so many things, and it's still a journey that we're all on. And so be encouraged this morning. Have a lovely, amazing Sunday, and be good and be kind to you this morning. We have also this morning or throughout the day on the Ellen Soul Radio show. Throughout the day, we have Charmaine X with a reggae show between 4 and 5. We have Junkster Position after 6 with their talk show. We also have On the Sofa with Esther Austin after 8. And so keep it locked to ellensoulradio.com for means of entertainment this Sunday as we relax and have a great Sunday. You're going to see me again this time next week, Saturday, between the hours of 9 and 11 on our business and creative show, and also on Sunday between 9 and 11 on our spiritual and well-being show. Just want to thank a couple of people that have joined me this morning on the thread. Just want to thank you all for joining me this morning. Want to give a big shout to Everton, to Jay, to Angie Hayes, to Dawn, lovely guest today, Dawn again. Thank you, Dawn, the author of Free to Be Me. Get her book, it's on Amazon. Also, Jay Ricky, want to give thanks to Faith Pierce, to William Derek Anderson this morning, to Faith Pierce again, to Carol Fraser, to Clive DJ Cookie, to Morris Phillips that joined me this morning, to Andrea, and also, yes, just want to give you thanks for joining on the show as usual, as you do with me on a Sunday morning. Have a great Sunday. Be good to you. I'm going to relax. I had an eventful day yesterday. I had a lovely day today, and I'm just going to have a relaxing Sunday today. And let's forgive ourselves. Let's learn to forgive ourselves. Let's learn to be kind to ourselves. Let's not beat ourselves up. Let's be loving to ourselves. And sometimes we need to give ourselves a good hug. Give ourselves a lovely hug this morning and be kind to yourself this morning. And so see you next week and have a great Sunday. And if you've just joined, catch the replay because you can listen to the replay. See you next week. Amazing, living inside. Thank you for joining me this Sunday. Be good and be kind to yourself this Sunday. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely day this Sunday. And keep it locked to ellensoulradio.com. We have the Anthony B 80 show. See you next week.